15 minutes to 9 o'clock. And guess what? It's a Wednesday. So we step into our water boots and put on the hat to protect us from the sun and jump right into the world of agriculture. It's AgroBuzz. And today we have to recognize we are in the middle of World Antimicrobial Awareness Week. Well, we're not in the middle. It actually starts tomorrow, November 18 to 24. So this week's, we're looking at that and recognizing that the theme is spread awareness, stop resistance. So we want to explore a little bit more antimicrobial resistance and take a look at what Jamaica is doing in support of World Antimicrobial Awareness Week. All right. So if we're going to be having that conversation, we had to get Dr. Suzan McLennon-Miguel on the phone. She's Senior Veterinary Specialist in the Veterinary Epidemiology, Public Health, and Food Safety Unit at the Veterinary Services Division, Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries, Lord Jesus. Dr. Miguel, I will start talking. How you doing?
Good morning.
Good
morning. Paula Ann and to your listeners.
Good morning. All right, so let's start with the easy question. What are antimicrobials?
Sure. So antimicrobials are chemicals or drugs invented to reduce, inhibit, or kill microorganisms. And we use these antimicrobials to treat infectious diseases that are caused by these microorganisms, like antibiotics for the bacterial infection, antifungal for fungal infections, antiviral for your viruses infections, and antiparasitic for parasites.
Okay, so these are fantastic things that help us to remain healthy and help our plants and animals to remain healthy. So what's this resistance about?
So this resistance came about when we misuse or overuse these antimicrobials. And so the microorganisms being exposed to these antimicrobials now turn and start making resistant genes. So they're fighting back. And then with that happening, our drugs or the antimicrobials that we use on them now are not effective. So we are actually creating bacteria or fungi or viruses or parasites that are resistant to the drugs or the chemicals we're using.
That's scary. That's scary. So the drugs to save us and protect us are not as effective anymore because the microbes, the bacteria, the enemy is getting stronger and getting used to them.
Correct.
So what's been happening as a result of this, especially in the agriculture sector?
Excellent. So I wanted to kind of touch what is happening, why we kind of wake up to all of this. Globally, it's estimated like 700 people will die each year because of antimicrobe-resistant bacterial infection. Then the next thing now is that in the livestock sector, in 2010, there was about 63,151 tons of antimicrobial use. And with the increase of population, we have to feed persons, there's going to be a global 67% rise of using these antimicrobials. And this is important because with the demand of animal source to feed people, it is realized that antimicrobials will have to play a critical role in treating diseases and keeping our food safe. So what that falls on is if we don't have the use of these, then our crops will die, eaten by pests, our animals won't have the antibiotics or stuff to treat them so that they can recover and so that we can actually have food on our table. But the issue also is that some of these residues or these resistant pathogens are ending up in our food. And so we now have to take a close look on our practices in the agriculture sector, not just to safeguard the food you eat, but we want to make sure that these organisms are not getting over into your food.
That's scary. That's very scary. So what are the activities being done during Antimicrobial Awareness Week here in Jamaica as we take care of that business?
Excellent. So on Thursday, November 18, our day will be Agri-Food Industry Day. We're going to be speaking to the general public, but also to our farmers, our industry players, how they can prevent and control the spread of these antimicrobial pathogens in the food that we produce for our people. We're going to talk about different measures for the bees, for the livestock, for crops, for the fishery sector. We're going to go into what we are doing in the government in monitoring and developing surveillance programs so that we can look for these pathogens and put in interventions. Then on Friday, we're going to turn to infection prevention control measures in the health sector. Because remember, this is not just an animal issue. It's not just a crop issue or environment. It's also a human. So we all have to take a one health approach. And in that way, we're going to be looking at measures in the health sector for that on Friday. But the following week now, Monday, we're going to look on the roles and responsibility of prescribing these antimicrobials. What is everybody's responsibility? What should you expect? On the Tuesday, we're going to talk about stewardship. We're looking for champions to promote responsible use and implement good hygiene practices. And then we'll wrap up the week on the Wednesday, public-private partnership, all hands on deck, joining in the fight against this public health issue. That will be a discussion, panel discussion.
That sounds good to me. So, memory don't good. You've told us all in lovely detail, but later when we want to check, how do we find the information? Where do we go? Who do we call?
Excellent. So it's going to be on PAHO's website. There's a link there that you can go directly to the list of the days and you register. It's also going to be on the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries website, Facebook. Just click in. The agenda is there where you can register. The Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce is there as well, and the Ministry of Health. Just go to our website. It's there. And you can just register and listen. You will learn a lot how you can help and be champions in this fight.
Thank you so much for championing the cause with us this morning, Doc. And we look forward to seeing what happens and joining the fight as well.
Thank you very much for having me.
Our pleasure. Folks, the issue of antimicrobial resistance, that's what we look at today. It affects everybody all around the world and in so many different ways. So we want to thank Dr. Suzan McLennon-Miguel for speaking with us about it today, Senior Veterinary Specialist at the, let me take a deep breath, Veterinary Epidemiology, Public Health and Food Safety Unit at the Veterinary Services Division with the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries. Now, farmers, remember to only use antimicrobials when prescribed by a vet. Use the correct dosage, follow the length of treatment and withdrawal period as prescribed, and only get your antimicrobials from authorized sources and retailers. Folks, don't forget to follow the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries on Facebook. That's how they do. Check them out on Twitter and Instagram at MOAFJM. And join us next week, Wednesday, 8:45 for AgroBuzz.